everybody, welcome to the Mana Leek. I'm John as always, and it's time for League update number 5. This is all about the Paper League that I'm playing in my local game store. If this is your first Paper League update, you should probably go back and check out number 1 and then go in order to see how my league's been going, as well as to just get an overview of how the league actually works. The link to that video is in the top right-hand corner at the moment. But we're going to take a look at how my deck looked before, a couple of changes I made before the matches, the pack that I opened, and where we stand right now. So here's the deck last week after adding the Ravenous Bloodseekers from my pack. Before match 1, I did decide to make a few more changes that I hadn't quite thought of when I made last week's video. Up first, Pale Rider's been kind of unimpressive. It's a 3/3 for 2, which is nice, but I've frequently held on to it in order to, cast a Fiery Tempter or something on turn 3, which slows it down and makes it much less exciting. So it gets cut, and Murderous Compulsion gets added back in for more removal. Murderous Compulsion isn't great, but it is fine, and it is some nice conditional removal for big things. Fiery Temper can't hit the gigantic things, of course. Howlpack Wolf has also been pretty unimpressive. It's only been good for me if I've been ahead already. If I'm behind, it hasn't really gotten me back because it barely can ever block. I have to have the Wolf of Devil's Breach or the Breakneck Rider down. In addition, my black was such a smaller percentage of my deck that I was having some mana consistency issues. If I put my swamps to where they statistically should be, I may just not draw them, especially when I need them on turn 2 for something like Heir of Falconwrath. So ditching Howlpack Wolf in exchange for a Ghoul-Caller's Apprentice I thought would help a little bit more in making my mana a bit more consistent, as well as just being a creature that could block and make another blocker later in the game. So with that, I jumped into my matches. I hope to get at least 5 more wins in the next 12 matches, which I hope is doable, and that should guarantee me a playoff spot, no problem. Match 1, I was up against Brian, who's running red-green, kind of werewolves, just generally aggro. Brian has an unfortunate pattern of having significant mana screw or flood issues whenever he plays me. Game 1, though, that didn't happen. What happened was he had Village Messenger come down on turn 1, get in for a ton of damage over the next 6 or 7 turns after it became menacey, and I stumbled on turn 2 and 3. I slowly got back into the game, but then ultimately was just blown out by Magmatic Chasm. I'm at the point now where I hate hearing the words, "Do any of your guys fly?" And they don't, and then I die. Game 2, I wasn't going to let that happen again. We hit each other back and forth a little bit, with Brian doing most of the damage. A Hydra even came out on his side of the board, but I'd been building up some removal spells in hand, and I had a Nahiri on board. He went for a fairly aggressive attack from him, which was probably the right choice. I blocked a whole bunch. Managed to keep Nahiri alive, and I was not going to get blown out by a chasm again. So I demolished his board by killing something with Nahiri, casting a Murderous Compulsion, top-decking a Sorin to kill something else, and suddenly the board was significantly back in my favor with 2 Planeswalkers down, and I pulled that game off pretty handily after that, but it was looking like a loss. Game 3, the mana issues happened, and I got a quick win in, so I was 1-0. Match 2, I was up against Doug. I have a terrible record against Doug this league, who's running his trademark black-red aggro deck that caps out around 3 mana, maybe 4 mana. And he's playing something like 14 lands or 15 lands, because if he gets to 3, he can cast his deck. 2 quick matches made pretty quick work of me, and as usual, when I thought I was totally fine and had a great board, I heard those words, "Do any of your guys fly?" And Magmatic Chasm hit the board both games, and I was dead. So tired of that card. Match 3, I was up against Ryan, who I asked before he sat down, "Are you running Magmatic Chasm?" And he was kind of hesitant to tell me if he was or not. But he's been absent a few weeks. He's trying to catch back up. He's playing blue, black, red, thing in the ice, kind of spells, etc. Game 1, however, I got both Planeswalkers out on curve and made pretty quick work of it. Game 2, I followed up with an aggressive curve out into a Voldaren Duelist, paving the way for a flipped Breakneck Rider and Duelist and team to get in for a surprise 16 damage, which was exactly what I needed. Very quick game, and I took that match down. So I was 2-1. Hoping to go 3-1. I was up against Alex. Game 1 ended up having Nahiri on turn 4 for Alex, followed by a Nahiri on turn 4 for me, with mine winning for a little bit before she died later. Followed that up with a Sorin, who also died, and eventually I just got overwhelmed. Game 2, Wolf of Devil's Breach did the most work I've seen it do. It quickly cleared the opposite board with, just decimating attacks and throwing things away, throwing away fiery tempers and casting the fiery tempers to kill 2 things, and just stomped over him with the wolf. Game 3, unfortunately, I got totally overwhelmed by aggro. Thankfully, no magmatic chasm, but just plain old aggro and removal, and that was the end of that, putting me at 2-2 for the week. Not great, not terrible. So I opened up my pack for the week, and my pack was full of horrible commons. Angelic Purge, good, but not for my deck. Grifspoon, Vessel of Ephemera, Seagraph Scab, Vessel of Paranoia, Stallion of Ashmouth, Behind the Scenes at Uncommon, Structural Distortion, Aim High, a Foil Murderer's Axe, Blood Mad Vampire, nothing I was happy about, but the uncommons and the rare saved me. An Heir of Falconwrath and an Incorrigible Youths at Uncommon, 2 cards that I've been looking for since week 1, and my rare was another playable rare of Sinprodder. Not amazing, but super good, super fine, and definitely going to go into my deck. So I was looking around at what changes I could possibly make, and I decided that up first, we were going to take out Mad Prophet for Sinprodder. Mad Prophet's been good. I've definitely gotten some good card advantage off of it. I've sometimes thrown away a Fiery Temper or a Blood Mad Vampire and cast them. But ultimately, I think Sinprodder is just that much better. The potential of just getting significant card draw or having my opponent have to pay life for things will be fantastic. The only downside would be losing something like a Burn from Within or a Sinister Concoction. I'm sure my opponents will pay 1 life to deny me a Burn from Within instead of taking potentially 6, 7, or 8 damage off of it. But otherwise, I think it's going to be pretty good. I can't wait to make somebody pay 6 or have to face Sorin that turn. So Sinprodder seems like a good addition. Next up, we're going to trade that Ghoulcaller's Accomplice, which was just in this week and did okay, with an Heir of Falconwrath, which is significantly better. Having 2 heirs is just going to be great, especially with the Tempers, the Blood Mad Vampire, the Murderous Compulsion, and of course the Incorrigible Youths that are going to be added as well. So those Incorrigible Youths, what are we going to take out for them? Well, we're going to take out the Thraben Gargoyle. The Gargoyle was cute. It was kind of a turn 1 play, so I could stand up to vampires a little bit more, but my 2 drops are filling up now, and the Delirium for the Fiends typically will get triggered with my Concoction, with my heirs throwing things away, Nahiri throwing things away, etc. So Incorrigible Youths in place of the Gargoyles, and my deck is starting to look pretty darn solid. I'm pretty happy with where it's at. I don't really know what else I could open or trade that would totally instantly find a place. I could make some rough cuts, and Fiends are probably what would get the cut next, but I think it's going to be a solid deck. I can't wait to go Heir of Falconwrath into Incorrigible Youths into Duelist on turn 2, 3, and 4. I hope I get to do that sometime over the next 2 weeks. Anyways, here are the standings for the week. I've managed to hold on to 6th place, and I'm only a few games back from the rest. The top spot was taken by Kieran, with Matt K dropping all the way down to 3rd, and the 8th through 10th spots are still quite in contention and really could end up being anybody by the time playoffs come around in 2 weeks. Playoffs will be in 2 weeks. There are 2 more 4-match weeks to go, and then in 2 Saturdays we will be playing the playoffs, which I will of course do a final update for, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this sealed league update. It's super fun to do it. If anybody's interested in running it at their own local game store, I can definitely give you kind of the rundown of what the rules are. Super great format. It's a great way to get the kind of same play group showing up week after week. So much fun. Anyways, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at the Mana Leek. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me on Facebook, facebook.com/themanaleek, and you can find me at twitch.tv/themanaleek. If you enjoy these videos, click that little thumbs up icon, click that subscribe button, so that you can stay tuned on all the latest videos as they get posted. But as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.